This is Tom Frank, and this is episode 43 of But Let's Face It. Lots of movies get rebooted. Lots of properties get sequels and prequels well after the peak of a franchise. Sometimes this is due to a filmmaker exploring projects other than the thing that made them famous. They try and move on and not be pigeonholed into one genre, one universe, one canon. And a lot of times they are unable to replicate the success they had with the thing that they became known for. So often, years and years later, they go back to the well and drudge up some more buckets. And when they do, the films they make are often pale imitations and far weaker entries in the franchise than the ones from the glory days. And this is exactly what we were expecting when it was announced that George Miller was making another Mad Max movie. But let's face it, it makes no sense that Mad Max Fury Road was the masterpiece that it was. The second film in the original series, The Road Warrior, was a classic, hugely original, hugely influential. It elevated the Mad Max franchise. George Miller followed it up a few years later with Beyond Thunderdome, which had some memorable stuff in it, but was definitely a drop-off. He eventually went in a completely different direction, making Babe, A Pig in the City, and the two Happy Feet movies. There are worse films than these, but the trajectory of George Miller's career was following an all too familiar path. Less ambitious, less edgy, more CG. This did not seem like a person who could knock our socks off by going back to his roots decades later. The Mad Max movies were hardcore action films with insane stunts. Directing-wise, that's a young man's game. George Miller wasn't able to match The Road Warrior when he was making Thunderdome, and that was when he was 30 years younger. Fury Road had weak sauce written all over it. Instead, it was somehow even better than The Road Warrior, which is something I can't believe I'm saying. It beats and outdoes The Road Warrior at its own game. And George Miller beats all younger action directors. He is in complete control of this insane, giant action movie canvas, and it makes no sense. This shouldn't have happened. This never happens. When filmmakers return to popular movies years later, we get Escape from LA, we get The Godfather 3, we get Attack of the Clones. Mad Max Fury Road could easily have been Highlander 4. But it wasn't. It was a masterpiece. Yeah, we were all caught off guard when it was released, but even when you look at it a few years later, it just keeps getting better and better. We were not blinded by the light. We were blinded by genius. Mad Max Fury Road gives us an endless parade of amazing designs and original ideas that we've never seen before. Of course, there's relentless artistry in the tons and tons of vehicle designs, but there's also aerosol drugs, bullet farms, human blood bank farms, and a flame-throwing guitar. Much has been made of the feminist themes in the movie. Perhaps most impressive is how invisible, organic, and unintrusive they are. Audience members, just like Immortan Joe's wives, are not things. And when we are given a mature plot explained to us in a not heavy-handed way, it's tough not to be moved by that. We are not told Furiosa is a badass. We are shown it. We come into the story with everyone knowing she's a force to be reckoned with, and we simply have to catch up. A big problem in the third acts of movies is that they are simply not good enough. Filmmakers feel all they have to do is increase the scale. The final fight in the first Avengers movie is the weakest part. It's big and loud, so most people don't care. And a lot of times, a movie has a set piece early on, and the third act action sequence falls flat in comparison. The end of Mad Max Fury Road is put in the incredibly difficult position of having 3 classic action sequences before the final chase begins. Yet, being completely behind the 8 ball, George Miller manages to eclipse them all. From spitting gas into open engines to make them go faster, to the Cirque du Soleil performers hired to pole vault vehicle to vehicle, the white knuckle action keeps building lyrically and becomes more and more insane and intense. That these are real people performing these stunts is impossible to ignore. It puts to shame the CG third acts that litter our film screens today. And, most importantly, there is a lesson in Mad Max Fury Road for all of us. It is not inevitable that we jump the shark, ever. Our creative life is not diamond-shaped. Sublime inspiration never has to be behind us. And let's face it, it is very uplifting to know that we are always capable of eclipsing our very best work.